Everyone, are your bellies filled up? Mina announced to the crowd of kids and 1A in front of her. Because it's time for the next big event. The scavenger hunt. Mina gestured to 4 differently colored eggs beside her, 1 white, 1 bronze, 1 silver, and 1 platinum. A ton of these eggs have been put in different locations, all around the forest in every place you could imagine. We have white eggs, which are the easiest to find and are worth 1 point. We have bronze eggs which are a bit more hidden and are worth 3 points. Silver eggs are even more hidden than that and are worth 6 points. Then we have the rare gold egg. These things are really hard to find and are worth 10 points. And lastly, we have the ultra rare platinum egg. There are only 5 of these things, and we've put them in super secret locations throughout the forest. Finding one of these babies will net you a total of 50 points. Already, some of the more competitive kids, namely Ken, Kiba, and Fu, were thinking up plans. Now for the rules. Mina continued. First off, when you find an egg, you must put it in your basket. Once an egg is inside another person's basket, you can't steal it. Attacking them is also a no-go. But if they find it first, but haven't put it in the basket, you are allowed to steal it. If your basket is full, then you'll need to come back here and empty it out. One last thing. You all have 2 hours to find these eggs. Now as for the contestants. It's gonna be all kids this time. And we're doing it in pairs. That's right, this is gonna be a team effort. Now as for the teams. First, we have Fu and Kay. Let's do our best, Fu, Kay said, raising her hand up for a high five, which Fu promptly gave her. Then Sansan and Yonda. Mina went on. Sansan gave Yonda a big thumbs up. We have Lady Kay and Eri. Mina continued. Don't worry, dear sister. I will lead us to victory. Kiba said, putting her arm around Eri. I'll try my best. Eri responded, giving her a determined look. Ken and Otoko. Mina called. Ready to win? Ken asked his partner cockily. Otoko shrugged. Nara and Koda. Mina went on. I'll do what I can, Koda told her. That's all I can ask, Nara reassured him. And lastly, we have Shiroku and Kyoko. Mina finished. Let's do it, little sister. Shiroku said, patting Kyoko on the head. Alrighty then. Before we begin, first we'll be handing out these handy-dandy earpieces. Mina said, as Shoji came forward and handed a set of earpieces out to all the contestants. These will let you communicate with your partner, no matter where you two might be. All the pairs to the earpieces, except for Ken and Otoko, as neither of them thought it would be particularly useful, and everyone took a basket. Alrighty then, will all contestants line up at the edge of the forest? Mina instructed. All 12 participants lined up, right outside the forest. Hey, Ken whispered to Otoko, as he fiddled with his Omnitrix. I have a plan. We're going to go our separate ways, and I need you to collect as many bronze and silver eggs as you can. Don't worry about the white eggs, Sis is gonna snatch those all up very quickly. Just focus on looking for whatever silver and bronze eggs you can. I doubt you'll find a gold egg, but if you do, grab those too. Got it? Otoko nodded. Meanwhile, Yonda was whispering something to Sansan. Alrighty then. Ready, set, go, Mina said. Nara and Ken slammed down on their Omnitrixes. Ken transforming into Wild Mutt, and Nara into XLR8. But at the same time, Sansan moved back towards Mina and picked up the display eggs, before putting them in her basket. And that's 70 points for us. Yonda smirked. What? You can't do that. Kiba objected. Those eggs were just for display. They don't count. Shiroku added. Actually they do. Fu corrected. Mina never said that they didn't count, and isn't the best place to hide something, right in plain sight? That's right, little guy. Mina confirmed. All those eggs counted just as much as the ones in the forest. That means Sansan and Yonda now have a 70-point lead. Curses, Kiba said, before grabbing Eri and putting her on her back. Eri, post haste. With that, they charged into the forest, along with every pair except for Sansan, Yonda, Ken, and Otoko. As Yonda and Sansan were heading into the forest, Ken jumped in front of them and quickly sniffed her basket, before immediately running off in the other direction. Otoko went in a separate direction, trying to follow Ken's order. Ken must have smelled our eggs so that way he could detect them with his smell, including the platinum eggs. Yonda frowned. Sansan, let's go. And with that, everyone was now in the forest. XXXXXXXXXXX. Nara carried Koda deeper into the forest until they eventually reached a lake. She set him down on the side of the lake, before explaining her plan. Look, I'm going to try and gather as many eggs in a little time as possible. I'll be mainly going for the white and bronze eggs. After that, I'll use Ditto to try and search for more well-hidden eggs. But I can't really do lakes all that well. Got it, I'll take care of this, Kota said, before making water come out of his hands. The water then floated upwards and formed a bubble around his head. Right, call me when you're done searching the lake. I'll take you to the next one, Nara told him, before speeding off to look for eggs. With that, Kota jumped into the lake, the water bubble around his head, allowing him to breathe, at least for a while. He then put his hands behind him and shoots out water from them, propelling himself through the lake with ease. Alright, they probably hid a gold or at least a silver egg in here. Not many of them can even look deep inside these lakes, Kota thought as he went deeper and deeper into the lake. They probably hid them at the bottom. Should be easy to spot gold or silver here. Quickly Kota descended deep down towards the bottom of the lake, before landing on its floor. After walking around for a few minutes, Kota eventually saw a small shine of gold. Kota swiftly propelled himself towards that gleam, and looked at it closer, seeing that there was in fact a gold egg, buried in the lake bed. After digging it back up, Kota took the egg. Alright, now let's head back to the surface to put it in the basket, and get some more air. Then I'll look around some more. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Meanwhile, Fu and Kay stopped in the forest. Alright, let's get this started, Fu said before he started taking off his shirt. Kay, please turn around. Kay did so but was very confused. What are you doing? I'm about to use mobile shell, so I need to take my clothes off this body, Fu explained, as he finished undressing. Alright, keep looking away. Fu then grabbed his hand and ripped it off. The moment the hand came off, Fu fell to the ground, and all life left his eyes. At the same time, Fu's hand started regenerating his body, and after about a minute and a half, Fu finished regenerating and got up. Then, Kaiosei wrapped himself around Fu's old body and got up, puppeting it. Fu then gave him his basket, and his earpiece, and Kaiosei immediately headed off. Alright, so let me explain the plan, Fu said to Kay, as he put on his clothes. Kaiosei is going to go around and look for eggs on his own. But he's not smart enough to look for any of the golden or platinum eggs. Right now we should focus on getting as many white, bronze, and silver eggs. After an hour we'll meet up at the starting point to dump our eggs, and then me and Kaiosei will bond again. For now, you're going to stick with me. Oh, and you can turn around now. Kay turned around, and followed Fu, as the two headed deeper into the forest. Why don't I look around for eggs by myself so we can look in more areas? Well, I have a hunch I'm going to need you around, Fu explained, as they found a cave. Perfect, let's go in. Fu and Kay walked into the cave, heading deeper and deeper inside. Fortunately, 1A had been generous enough to put up torches in the cave, so they weren't going in blind. Well, either these torches are here to fake us out, or there's an egg in here, Fu noted. After a few minutes of walking, they reached a wider section of the cave, where they saw 3 Goliaths and 2 bearing elves waiting for them. Yep, just what I thought, Fu said. He figured that they would have Grim guarding some of the eggs, and what did he see behind this wall of Grim? 2 silver eggs. Good thing I brought you with me. Huh? Kay gave him a confused look, before Fu turned her towards the Grim, and lifted her visor. All the Grim looked at Kay's beautiful eyes and quickly were turned to stone. Oh, that's why you brought me with you. Kay realized as Fu put her visor back over her eyes. Yep, Fu explained, as he started walking past all the petrified Grim. That we only have 2 baskets. Oh, Kay said, as Fu grabbed the eggs, and tossed them into the basket. Let's go, we can't afford to waste even a second of time, Fu told her, as he already started walking out of the cave. Not when our competition is so steep. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Ken really hoped that his plan worked out. Currently, he was running through the forest, still as wild mutt, with his basket in his mouth, with only a few 2 white eggs he'd found in a bush, and a bronze egg he found half buried underground. Of course, he'd noticed a bunch of other eggs around that he could have gone after. In fact, by now he likely could have had at least 1 golden egg. But that wasn't his goal, at least not for now. Ken would memorize the locations of those eggs, and go back for them later, but for now, his goal was the platinum eggs. Thanks to being able to sniff the eggs in Sanson's basket, he was able to follow the trail of platinum paint that was put on the eggs. So he knew the exact path that the 1A students took to hide these eggs. After running for about 6 minutes, Ken finally found the spot he was looking for. At first glance, it was just a plain, small clearing in the forest. However, if one looked closer, they could see a small X that had been carved in the dirt. It was extremely tiny, and most of the kids would have overlooked it. Ken was one of those kids, however, thanks to Wildmutt's extremely enhanced sense of smell, he was able to detect that 1A had dug up that area and taken a platinum egg down there. Quickly, Ken went over to that spot and started digging. After digging a few feet down, he noticed he'd dug into a cave system, a rather large one from the smell of it. Ken swiftly dug a larger hole that he could fit into and jumped down. After about 7 seconds of falling, Ken hit the ground and realized the cave was way bigger than he first thought. He also assumed it was completely dark down there, but that didn't matter to Wildmutt, as his smell allowed him to figure out the locations of things even in the dark. Plus he couldn't see in this form regardless. Ken immediately started running towards where he smelled the platinum egg, chasing its trail through the cave. After running for about a minute, he smelled something approaching him. Or rather, a lot of things approaching him. Ravagers. Ken recognized the small bat Grim that was rushing towards him in massive numbers. Over 100 Ravagers were flying towards him, and he could smell the platinum egg on one of them. Ken smirked and rushed towards the swarm of Ravagers. After a few seconds, they met. The Ravagers rushed past Ken, a few hitting him in the face, but he swiftly shook it off and focused on the egg. Then, when the Ravager with the egg flew over him, he jumped up and grabbed it. After landing, Ken quickly took the egg from the small bat monster, and then threw it away. He didn't have time to waste. He knew soon he'd run out of time as Wildmutt, and he needed to get out of this cave before then, otherwise, he'd be stuck in here for 10 minutes. Ken rushed out of the cave. Thankfully the bottom of the basket was magnetic so the metal eggs didn't fall out while he ran. He jumped onto the wall, running along it, as he made his way up to the roof of the cave and he quickly found the hole he'd made to get in here. Ken crawled on the roof of the cave, and quickly rushed out of the hole, and back onto the surface. And just in time. BRRR! 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 In a flash of red, Ken turned back to normal, and still had the basket in his mouth. Ha! Ken spit out the basket. Ugh! Barely made it out in time. Ken picked up his basket and looked down to see his tracks as Wildmutt. Alright, time for part 2. While Ken waited for his Omnitrix to recharge, he'd follow his tracks, and go back for the eggs he had detected as Wildmutt. Ken followed his tracks with a smirk on his face. Alright. Only 10 minutes and I already have one of the 4 leftover eggs. I am gonna win this. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Whoosh! Nara sped through the forest as quickly as she could, stopping at every tree, bush, and rock. Stopping to look for a second, before moving on if she didn't find an egg. After finding another white egg nestled inside a small crack in a wall, and adding it to her basket. Alright, that makes 15 white eggs and 1 bronze egg. So that's 18 points. I'm still not anywhere close to Sanson's numbers. Still and Yonda can't move very quickly, so hopefully they won't be able to get a lot more points. BRRRR. Nara's eyes widened, as she looked down at her Omnitrix, and saw it was flashing red. BRRR. 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 In a flash of red, Nara was returned to her human form. She sighed and looked down at her basket. Alright. Just need to wait, and then I can do some searching as Ditto. Hopefully, Koda found some eggs in that lake. XXXXXXXXXXXX. Smash. Meanwhile, Kiba just finished smashing apart a massive boulder and found a golden egg hidden inside it. Wow, how did you find that one? Eri asked her, as Kiba pulled the egg from the rock and into her basket. I noticed that part of the rock had been melted on top, and so I figured something about this boulder was suspicious, Kiba explained. So I punched it to see what would happen. I suppose Mina must have melted a hole into this rock, and hid the egg here. A clever idea, but I am far more clever. Sanson and Yonda still have more points than us, Eri said, looking down at their baskets. They'd collected a golden egg, a silver egg, and 3 white eggs. For now, dear sister. But don't fret. Out of all our foes, Sanson and Yonda are the slowest pair. Kiba told her. You and I shall emerge victorious. I'll look in the front, you look in the back. Kiba handed Eri her basket, and turned around, crouching slightly, to allow Eri to get on her back. Once Eri was on her back, and properly secured, with Eri's arms around her neck, and Kiba's hands holding her thighs, Kiba ran off. Kiba looking in front of her, with Eri looking behind her. Everyone was giving it their all, in the longest event so far.